friends, welcome back to Food Prep Guide. Today I want to talk about the fact that most garden centers want you to fail at starting seeds. I know that sounds a little mean, a little harsh, but think about it. They make way more money selling you $5 seedlings than 50-cent seed packets. And nobody ever buys just one seedling, so they are making bank when it comes springtime. If you don't take anything else away from this video today, I want you to know that seed starting is way easier than it seems. You don't have to watch a 3-hour tutorial on starting seeds. It's just too easy for that. So today I'm sharing everything I know about starting seeds and giving you all the tips and tricks. You probably have most of what you need to get going sitting in your kitchen right now. If you'll hang out with me for 10 or 15 minutes or so, I will show you exactly how I grow healthy seedlings in a way that has saved me hundreds of dollars over the years. Let's get started. If you would like help planning a productive garden, scroll down to the description box of this video and click this link for a free garden printable. We calculated quantities for a year's supply of the most common garden vegetables and organized them into a neat chart to help you plan. We'll send it straight to your inbox. If you're new here, we invite you to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming tutorials on gardening and food preservation, food storage, and more. Let's start with this trick that garden centers definitely don't want you to know about, and that is how to test and even force germinate some of those really old seed packets that you might have lying around. All you need is a paper towel, a Ziploc bag, and your breath. Here's why this works. Seeds need 3 things to sprout: moisture, warmth, and carbon dioxide. When you blow into a Ziploc bag and close it shut after doing what I'm about to show you, you're giving that seed everything it needs to sprout. If you have seeds that are several years old, this isn't going to necessarily guarantee you a 100% germination rate, but you can dramatically increase your germination rate. Here's what you need to do. You'll take a paper towel and dampen it, not soaking wet, just damp, and place your seeds on one half of it and then fold it over. I like to put my seeds on a single layer, like not doubling up on top of each other, but honestly, they sprout either way. Now here's what you need to do next is slide it into a Ziploc bag. I usually fold the paper towel over to basically trap the seeds inside the paper towel before putting it into the Ziploc bag. But once they're all nice and tucked inside that paper towel, you just need to go put them in a Ziploc bag. Don't forget to label your bag. I have done this so many times I can't even tell you. It's embarrassing, but don't forget to label your bag with what your seeds are, because not all of them are super obvious like these cucumber seeds. But once you have the seeds in your Ziploc bag, all you need to do is blow into it and then quickly seal it. What this does is jumpstart it with a dose of carbon dioxide that it needs to basically wake the seed up. Then you'll want to put it somewhere warm. This can be like on top of your fridge. This can be a sunny windowsill, anywhere where it seems a little bit warm in your house. And in about 3 to 5 days, you'll know which seeds are still good because they will have already sprouted. And you can actually put them straight in the ground in this pre-sprouted state. Now let's talk about winter sowing. This is an almost free method that's like using a greenhouse but not actually having a greenhouse. The first step is to grab your containers. I like to use milk jugs, but you can use soda bottles. You can even use those containers that like rotisserie chickens come in from the grocery store. But basically you're going to cut drainage holes in the bottom of your milk jug or whatever container that you're using, fill it with soil, plant your seeds, and put them outside even in the middle of winter. In fact, I do this in January and February. The container acts like a mini greenhouse, protecting your seeds while using natural temperature swings to tell the seeds, hey, it's time to wake up and grow. As you watch me set up one of these containers, I want to talk about the 3 things you really need to know about winter sowing seeds. The first thing is soil. Use potting mix. You do not want to use seed starting mix. These seeds are going to live inside these jugs their entire early life up until it's time to transplant. There's no up potting, aka being moved into a larger pot, so your plants need to have enough nutrition in the soil to support their early growth, and you just can't get that from a seed starting mix. I highly, highly recommend Fox Farms Happy Frog potting soil if you can get your hands on it. A lot of garden centers carry it these days, but it is on Amazon, and I will link that in the description box below if you're interested. The second thing you need to know about winter sowing is the watering. In winter, honestly, you rarely need to water. You basically want to let the snow and rain do the work for you. That said, as the temperatures begin to warm up, or if you have a winter that is just incredibly dry, kind of abnormally dry, what you want to do is look for condensation inside the jug. If you see it, don't water. If you don't see condensation and the soil looks dry, use a watering can with small holes or a spray nozzle on your hose to water gently through the opening of the jug. Also, a bone dry jug will be very, very light when you pick it up. So if a jug feels light, go ahead and water it. The third thing you need to know is let's talk about temperature management. Don't worry about freezing temperatures until after the seeds sprout. They can handle it just fine. The container protects them from the worst cold and harsh winds. Now, once your seedling sprouts and gets to be more than like an inch or two tall, and if you have temperatures that drop below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, you'll just want to go out and throw a sheet or a blanket on top of them, and that is it. If it gets to be around 65 degrees or higher, and for whatever reason you can't transplant, go ahead and take the duct tape off and let the jugs just kind of breathe a little bit. And as far as hardening off, and this is really the last thing you need to know about winter sowing, is that you don't have to harden them off in the traditional sense. They're already really tough. It's just when nights stay above 50 degrees Fahrenheit, they're ready to plant, ready to transplant. Ideal candidates for transplant should have 2 to 3 sets of true leaves before planting. All I do is 2 days before I'm ready to transplant, I will take off the duct tape, just kind of bend open the lid a little bit and just let them air out for 2 days before transplanting, and that is it, y'all. The proof is in the pudding, as they say. Here's some little tatsoi seedlings. It was actually fairly warm this day, but the week before that, it was in the low 30s, and so it seems counterintuitive to have baby seedlings out in the cold at this stage, but those milk jugs really do act as greenhouses that protect them, and not only protect them, but give them everything that they need to grow and to thrive without having to take up space inside your house or without you needing an expensive greenhouse out in your yard. Here's another look at some tomatoes. So you can absolutely do this with what would be considered tropical or subtropical plants like tomatoes and peppers. These were in the milk jugs put out in January when we were still having freezing temperatures, and you saw how beautiful they were. When it comes time to transplant winter sown seedlings, it's just as simple as cutting off a little flap off of the milk jug and scooping your hand up under that soil. Now, this right here I think it was a flower, and this is called the hunk of seedling method, where you aren't necessarily spacing out the seedlings, you're just broadcasting those seeds inside the milk jug. And this is another thing about seedlings, is that they really can handle a lot more than we give them credit for. What I'm doing is lifting these out of the milk jug, and I'm about to show you how I just kind of gently wiggle the soil with my fingers and just kind of separate into chunks. So I will get 5 to 6 plugs of flowers out of this one milk jug. And so it's a great space-saving way to start seeds as well, not just saving space inside your house, but being able to start a lot of seedlings in kind of a small space, just the size of a milk jug. But maybe that's not really the route that you want to go, so I did want to show you an indoor setup as well. This is my under $50 system that works just as well as those fancy $200 plus setups. All you need is some solo cups, a heating mat, and like a shop light. This is from Walmart. It was like $33 or $30 LED shop light. And the heating pad was just the regular one that we use for sore muscles and anything. It wasn't a specialty seedling pad. A quick warning about the biggest mistake that beginners make with starting seeds indoors is over-watering. Your soil should feel like a wrung-out sponge, not a wet sponge. Too much water and your seeds will rot, or your seedlings will die in a process known as damping off. Damping off is actually a fungal disease that kills seedlings typically right after they sprout. It's actually that fungus grows in that overly moist environment, and what happens is it attacks at the soil level, and it'll make the stem get really thin and dark and mushy right where it sprouts out of that dirt. One day your seedlings will look totally fine, and then suddenly it flops over like a wet noodle and dies. Unfortunately, once you see that happening, the seedling is done for. There's no recovering from damping off. So do not overwater. That is the lesson of the day for indoor starting seeds, is don't overwater, and you will be just fine. As far as judging if it needs water for indoor plants, I will typically look at the color of the soil. If it's light, I water. If it's dark, I don't. I will also just stick the tip of my finger inside of a cup. You want the heating mat on low, by the way. I just saw that and reminded me. You want to keep it on low, not super high. And I mostly do this for tomatoes and peppers as far as the heat mat goes. Honestly, a lot of your other crops, they don't even need a heat mat. But tomatoes and peppers, they do benefit from a little bit of heat. I don't provide a heat mat for pretty much anything else other than in the nightshade family. But anyway, the solo cups, all you have to do is drill some drainage holes in the bottom of them, fill them with potting soil mix. If you want to go the up potting route, meaning if you want to start with seed starting mix, get the best start possible, up pot it into a bigger size, that's totally fine. I skip all that, honestly, and I just use potting soil inside these cups, and when it comes time to transplant, I take it outside. It's just kind of a lot simpler for me, and I don't really want the hassle of having to up pot 2, 3, or even 4 times. So, I mean, essentially, if you look at the cost of it, I know that sometimes seed starting can feel like an overwhelming skill to learn, but a single tomato seedling costs about $5 at the store, while a packet of 30 tomato seeds might run you about $3. Using these methods, even if only, let's say only half of your seeds sprout, that's still 15 plants that you got for less than the cost of one store-bought seedling. So seed starting really is a skill that is really worth learning. It's going to make gardening a lot more feasible and budget friendly. I hear all the time when we get into gardening conversations, people are like, well, that's great, but I can't afford it. Too expensive. And I can almost guarantee those are the people who are buying their seedlings from the store versus starting from seed in this using this frugal method. The type of plants that do really well winter sown, you see them there on screen. It is essentially anything that has a longer date of maturity but isn't a root crop. So you can see it has a lot of options. All of your herbs and flowers are fantastic, whether they're culinary or medicinal, are fantastic candidates for winter sowing, but also many of your garden vegetables, tomatoes, peppers, spinach, mustard greens, cabbage, broccoli, everything in your brassica family does great. As far as what seeds prefer to be directly sown in ground, those are going to be things like all of your root crops, your quick growing crops, and the seeds that are really big, squash and cantaloupe and cucumbers. Those like to be directly in the ground and not be disturbed. And beans and peas, they really don't like their roots disturbed either. So I'll just put those straight in the ground as soon as my last frost has passed. Real quick, I wanted to mention how I plant the seeds, whether they are transplanting or whether I'm direct sowing, and that is going to be with mycorrhizal fungi. I made this discovery, like 2 years ago. It was new to me. It's not new to the gardening community, but it just essentially allows your roots to take up the maximum amount of nutrients from the soil. And it is just an excellent soil amendment. I highly recommend it. Okay, y'all, that is all for today. I hope this was helpful to you, and I hope you're encouraged to get those seeds started. That's all for today. We'll see you next time. Bye.